In the rugged expanse of the Colorado Rockies, where jagged peaks pierced the sky like ancient sentinels and dense forests whispered secrets to the wind, a group of teenage friends embarked on what was supposed to be an unforgettable adventure. It was the summer of 2018, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and anticipation. Emily Carter, the group's unofficial leader at 17, had planned the hike meticulously. She was the kind of girl who thrived on organization. Her backpack stuffed with trail maps, energy bars, and a first aid kit that could rival a small hospital. Beside her was Jake Harlan, her best friend since kindergarten, a lanky boy with a mop of curly hair and a perpetual grin that masked his inner uncertainties. Jake was the comic relief, always cracking jokes to lighten the mood, but deep down, he harbored a fear of the unknown that he never voiced. Then there was Mia Rodriguez, the artistic soul of the quartet, with her sketchbook tucked under her arm and eyes that saw beauty in every twisted root and babbling brook. At 16, she dreamed of becoming a painter, capturing the wild essence of nature on canvas. Rounding out the group was Tyler Brooks, the athlete, whose muscular build and confident stride made him seem invincible. He was the one who pushed them to go farther, faster, always chasing the thrill of conquest. They had chosen the Lost Creek Trail, a moderately challenging path that wound through aspen groves and alpine meadows, promising breathtaking views and a sense of isolation from the bustling world below. As they set off from the trailhead near Granby, the sun hung high, casting golden rays that danced on the leaves. Laughter echoed as they shared stories from school. Emily's crush on the star quarterback, Jake's disastrous attempt at asking someone to prom, Mia's latest art project inspired by starry nights, and Tyler's tales of football glory. The trail started easy, a gentle incline that allowed them to chat freely, but as hours passed, the path grew steeper, the air thinner, and the forest denser. They paused at a crystal-clear stream to refill water bottles, splashing each other playfully, unaware that this moment of joy would be one of their last captured in memory. Emily checked her compass, assuring everyone they were on track, while Jake snapped selfies with his phone, posting one last update to social media. Conquering the Rockies with the squad. #AdventureTime. Little did they know, the mountains held more than scenic beauty. They cradled enigmas buried deep within their soil, waiting to unravel lives. As the afternoon waned, clouds gathered ominously, and a chill crept into the air, but the friends pressed on, driven by youthful invincibility. Tyler led the way, his strides purposeful, while Mia sketched a quick drawing of a wildflower blooming defiantly on the rocky terrain. Conversation turned to deeper topics, dreams for the future, fears of growing up, the bonds that tied them together like invisible threads. Emily confessed her anxiety about college applications. Jake admitted his struggle with his parents' divorce. Mia shared her passion for environmental conservation, and Tyler revealed a vulnerability beneath his tough exterior, a fear of failure that gnawed at him. The trail forked unexpectedly, a detail not marked on Emily's map, and after a brief debate, they chose the left path, lured by what seemed like a shortcut to a promised vista. The decision felt minor then, but it would alter everything. As dusk approached, the group realized they were lost. The path narrowed into a labyrinth of boulders and fallen trees, the sky darkening with storm clouds. Panic flickered in their eyes, but they masked it with forced optimism. "We'll camp here for the night," Emily suggested, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. They pitched their tents in a small clearing, huddling around a flickering campfire as rain began to patter on the leaves. Stories turned to ghost tales to distract from the growing unease, legends of miners lost in these hills, spirits wandering the fog-shrouded peaks. Jake's jokes fell flat, Mia's sketches grew somber, Tyler's bravado cracked, and Emily's leadership wavered. That night, as thunder rumbled like distant artillery, strange sounds echoed through the woods, rustling branches that weren't from the wind, whispers that could have been imagination or something more sinister. By morning, the storm had passed, but so had their sense of security. They packed up hurriedly, determined to find their way back, but the trails seemed to shift, leading them deeper into the wilderness. Hours blurred into a desperate march, water rations dwindling, energy fading. Emily's phone died first, then Jake's, cutting off any hope of GPS or calls for help. Mia twisted her ankle on a loose rock, slowing them down, while Tyler scouted ahead, returning with reports of dead ends. Fear set in like fog, thick and suffocating. They argued, blame tossed like hot coals. Emily for the planning, Tyler for the fork choice, Jake for not conserving battery, Mia for complaining. But beneath the tension was unbreakable friendship, hands clasped in silent support. As night fell again, they found shelter in a shallow cave, sharing the last of their food, whispering apologies and promises to make it out alive. Dreams that night were haunted, visions of shadowy figures lurking in the trees, buried secrets clawing to the surface. On the third day, exhaustion claimed them. Dehydration made thoughts hazy, hallucinations danced at the edges of vision. They stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin, its wood weathered and roof caved in parts, a relic from gold rush days, perhaps. Inside, they found rusted tools and faded journals, entries speaking of curses and vanishings. Hope surged as Tyler discovered a faint path leading from the cabin, but as they followed it, a landslide blocked their way, forcing a detour into even wilder terrain. Mia's injury worsened, her sketches abandoned for survival. Jake's humor turned to quiet resolve, Emily's maps useless in the uncharted wild. Tyler carried Mia on his back when she could no longer walk. The mountains seemed alive, conspiring against them with sudden drops, thorny underbrush, and wildlife that watched from afar. Bears growled in the distance, eagles circled overhead like omens. They rationed rainwater collected in leaves, ate berries that might have been poisonous, pushed forward on sheer will. Conversations dwindled to essentials. This way, rest here, don't give up. Bonds deepened in adversity, revelations pouring. Out. Emily's secret battle with depression, Jake's unspoken love for Mia, Mia's fear of being forgotten, Tyler's guilt over a past betrayal. The fourth day brought delirium, visions of rescue helicopters that weren't there, voices calling their names from the void. They crested a ridge, only to face a sheer cliff, backtracking in frustration. Night brought cold that seeped into bones, huddling for warmth, sharing body heat and stories of home to stay sane. Emily recounted family vacations, Jake imitated teachers, Mia described imaginary paintings of their escape, Tyler promised a victory party. But dawn revealed the harsh reality. They were utterly lost, miles from civilization, hope fading like morning mist. On the fifth day, as weakness overtook them, they collapsed in a meadow blanketed with wildflowers, the same ones Mia had sketched days ago. In their final moments of consciousness, they held hands, whispering farewells and I love yous, the mountains claiming them as their own. Silence descended, the forests swallowing their echoes, leaving only mystery in its wake. Years passed, the case of the vanished teens becoming local legend, search parties yielding nothing but faded trails and unanswered questions. Families clung to hope, posters yellowed on bulletin boards, anniversaries marked with vigils. Then, 5 years later, in 2023, a group of hikers stumbled upon something buried in the soil near that fateful meadow, a weathered backpack, half emerged from the earth like a relic from another time. Inside, preserved by the dry mountain air, were items that told a fragmented tale. Emily's journal, pages filled with detailed accounts of their journey, the wrong turn, the storm, the cabin, the despair. Sketches by Mia, vivid depictions of the landscape that morphed into nightmarish visions. Jake's phone, battery long dead but photos intact, capturing smiles turned to fear. Tyler's wristwatch, stopped at the moment they gave up. But buried deeper, wrapped in plastic, was a small box containing a map drawn by hand, marking a hidden cave system beneath the meadow, a potential escape route they never found. Authorities descended, excavating the site, unearthing bones scattered by animals, confirming the tragic end. Forensics pieced together the story. Starvation, exposure, a landslide that buried evidence. Yet questions lingered. Why the box? Was it a deliberate burial? A message for the future? Rumors swirled of foul play, hidden treasures, or supernatural forces. The families found closure, burying remains with honors, the meadow now a memorial. But the mountains kept their secrets, the soil holding more than bones. Echoes of laughter, dreams unfulfilled, a cautionary tale of nature's indifference. Emily's journal entry, the last one. If anyone finds this, tell our story. We were here. We lived. We loved. And so the legend lived on, a buried truth unearthed, reminding all who venture into the wild that some paths lead to oblivion, others to immortality in memory. The discoveries sparked media frenzy, documentaries dissecting every detail, books romanticizing the tragedy. Psychics claimed visions, conspiracy theorists pointed to government cover-ups, but science prevailed. Accidental death in unforgiving terrain. Yet, in quiet moments, survivors, families, friends, wondered if the teens had found peace in those final hours, their spirits wandering the trails they once loved. The backpack, now in a museum, drew visitors seeking thrills, but for those who knew them, it was a portal to the past, a buried chapter closed but never forgotten. Colorado's Rockies stood timeless, their soil rich with stories, waiting for the next wanderers to unearth or be claimed. 5 years had passed since the disappearance of Emily, Jake, Mia, and Tyler, and the Colorado Rockies had reclaimed their silence, as if the mountains themselves had conspired to erase the tragedy from their folds. In the small town of Granby, nestled at the base of the Lost Creek Trail, life trudged on, but the weight of the unsolved mystery hung like a perpetual fog. The townsfolk spoke of the teens in hushed tones, their story woven into the fabric of local lore, a cautionary tale told to hikers who dared the trails each summer. Search parties had long ceased, their efforts thwarted by the vastness of the wilderness. Hundreds of square miles of dense forest, sheer cliffs, and hidden valleys that could swallow entire expeditions. The families, though broken, clung to fragments of hope, holding annual vigils where candles flickered against the alpine wind, their prayers carried upward to indifferent peaks. Emily's mother, Clara Carter, became a figure of quiet resilience, organizing fundraisers for missing persons causes, her eyes always scanning the horizon for answers. Jake's father, a gruff mechanic named Tom Harlan, buried his grief in work, his garage walls plastered with maps marked by futile search grids. Mia's older sister, Sofia Rodriguez, turned her pain into art, painting murals of wildflowers that mirrored her sister's sketches, each petal a silent plea for closure. Tyler's coach, Dan Brooks, who treated him like a son, kept his jersey framed in the high school gym, a reminder of a star player who never returned. The town's collective memory held onto fleeting images, Emily's determined smile, Jake's goofy laugh, Mia's dreamy gaze, Tyler's confident swagger. Yet, beneath the surface, whispers persisted, rumors of strange happenings in those mountains, of lights flickering in the distance, of hikers hearing voices where no one should be. Some swore the teens had stumbled into something sinister, a secret hidden in the Rockies' depths, while others dismissed it as grief-fueled fantasy. The trailhead sign for Lost Creek now bore a plaque, a memorial etched with the teens' names, warning adventurers to stay on marked paths. But the mountains were unforgiving, their secrets buried deep, and the truth lay dormant, waiting for an unlikely catalyst to unearth it. In the spring of 2023, a group of graduate students from the University of Colorado, studying geological formations, ventured into the same wilderness, equipped with drones and soil sampling tools. Led by Dr. Rachel Nguyen, a geologist with a passion for unraveling Earth's mysteries, the team was unaware of the history tied to their chosen site, a meadow near the coordinates where the teens were last seen. Their goal was academic, to analyze sediment layers for evidence of ancient volcanic activity. As they dug, their shovels struck something unnatural. Not rock, but fabric, weathered yet intact. It was a backpack, half buried in the loamy soil, its straps frayed, but zippers still functional. The students, puzzled, called Dr. Nguyen over. and together they unearthed the find, their excitement tinged with unease. Inside, they found artifacts frozen in time, a waterlogged journal with Emily's precise handwriting, detailing their final days. Mia's sketchbook, its pages brittle but filled with hauntingly beautiful drawings. Jake's phone, its screen cracked but memory card intact. And Tyler's watch, its hands frozen at 3:17, a timestamp of their final moments. Most chilling was a small metal box, sealed with duct tape, containing a hand-drawn map of a cave system beneath the meadow, a place not marked on any official survey. The students, sensing the gravity of their discovery, contacted local authorities, and within hours, the site swarmed with police, forensic teams, and reporters. The backpack became a Pandora's box, unlocking a flood of questions. How had it remained hidden for 5 years? Why was it buried? Was it a deliberate act or nature's concealment? The journal entries painted a vivid picture. Emily's meticulous notes described their wrong turn at the fork, the storm that trapped them, the cabin they found, and their growing desperation. She wrote of strange noises at night, of shadows moving beyond their campfire's glow, and a creeping sense that they were not alone. Mia's sketches grew darker with each page, wildflowers giving way to jagged cliffs and faceless figures lurking in mist. Jake's phone held photos of their early joy, selfies by the stream, Tyler flexing for the camera, but later images showed exhaustion, fear in their eyes as the forest closed in. Tyler's watch, a gift from his father, seemed to mark the moment they succumbed, though whether to cold, hunger, or something else remained unclear. The hand-drawn map, however, was the enigma. Drawn in Mia's delicate hand, it showed tunnels winding beneath the meadow, marked with cryptic symbols that hinted at an ancient network, perhaps used by miners or indigenous peoples centuries ago. Dr. Nguyen speculated it could be a geological anomaly, a karst system formed by dissolved limestone, but why the teens had mapped it, or how they even knew of it, baffled her. The authorities launched a new investigation, excavating the meadow with care, uncovering scattered bones later identified through DNA as belonging to Emily, Jake, Mia, and Tyler. The cause of death was grimly predictable: hypothermia and starvation, their bodies too weak to navigate the labyrinthine terrain. Yet the map suggested they had been close to salvation, a cave system that might have led to safety if only they had found it. The metal box, buried separately, raised suspicions of intent. Had the teens hidden it to protect their story, or had someone else buried it to cover tracks? Conspiracy theories erupted online, fueled by posts on X claiming government experiments in the Rockies, cults hiding in caves, or supernatural entities guarding ancient secrets. The families, notified of the find, gathered at the site, their grief rekindled but tempered by answers. Clara clutched Emily's journal, reading her daughter's final words. "We tried so hard. Tell everyone we fought." Tom Harlan stared at Jake's phone, replaying a video of his son laughing by the campfire, a sound he hadn't heard in years. Sophia traced Mia's sketches, tears falling on the wildflower drawings that mirrored her own art. Coach Brooks held Tyler's watch, vowing to honor his memory with a scholarship fund. The discovery brought closure, but also new mysteries. Why had no one found the backpack sooner? Had animals scattered the remains? Or was there human intervention? The cave system, explored by spelunkers, revealed nothing but damp stone and bat colonies. No treasure, no cult, no answers. Yet locals spoke of eerie feelings in that meadow, of whispers in the wind, as if the teens' spirits lingered, tied to the soil that held their story. The media descended, turning Granby into a circus, with headlines screaming, "Lost Teens' Final Secret Unearthed." Documentaries followed, piecing together the timeline, while true crime podcasts speculated wildly. The backpack and its contents were displayed in a Denver museum, a somber exhibit drawing crowds who marveled at the artifact's preservation. For the families, it was bittersweet, proof their children had lived bravely, loved fiercely, but also a reminder of nature's cruel indifference. The Rockies stood sentinel, their peaks unmoved by human sorrow, their secrets only partially revealed. The meadow, now a protected site, became a pilgrimage for adventurers and mourners alike, each leaving tokens, flowers, letters, stones, by the memorial plaque. Clara, Tom, Sophia, and Dan found solace in community, their shared loss forging bonds stronger than time. Emily's journal ended with a plea, "Don't let us be forgotten." And so, Granby vowed to remember, their story etched into the mountains, a tale of youth, courage, and the mysteries that lie buried in the wild. The excavation site, though closed to the public, became a place of quiet reflection, where the wind seemed to carry echoes of laughter and loss, a reminder that some truths emerge only when the earth is ready to yield them. Eerie feelings in that meadow, of whispers in the wind, as if the teens' spirits lingered, tied to the soil that held their story. The media descended, turning Granby into a circus, with headlines screaming, "Lost Teens' Final Secret Unearthed." Documentaries followed, piecing together the timeline, while true crime podcasts speculated wildly. The backpack and its contents were displayed in a Denver museum, a somber exhibit drawing crowds who marveled at the artifact's preservation. For the families, it was bittersweet, proof their children had lived bravely, loved fiercely, but also a reminder of nature's cruel indifference. The Rockies stood sentinel, their peaks unmoved by human sorrow, their secrets only partially revealed. The meadow, now a protected site, became a pilgrimage for adventurers and mourners alike, each leaving tokens, flowers, letters, stones, by the memorial plaque. Clara, Tom, Sophia, and Dan found solace in community, their shared loss forging bonds stronger than time. Emily's journal ended with a plea, "Don't let us be forgotten." And so, Granby vowed to remember, their story etched into the mountains, a tale of youth, courage, and the mysteries that lie buried in the wild. The excavation site, though closed to the public, became a place of quiet reflection, where the wind seemed to carry echoes of laughter and loss, a reminder that some truths emerge only when the earth is ready to yield them. The revelation of the buried backpack sent shockwaves through the investigative community, transforming a cold case into a blazing inferno of scrutiny and speculation that engulfed not just Granby, but the entire state of Colorado and beyond. Authorities, led by Detective Sarah Klein of the Grand County Sheriff's Office, descended upon the meadow with a fervor unmatched since the initial disappearance, their teams equipped with ground-penetrating radar, cadaver dogs, and forensic anthropologists eager to peel back the layers of time and soil. Klein, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for dogged persistence, had been a rookie during the original search in 2018, her memories of fruitless days combing the trails still fresh, fueling her determination to uncover every shard of truth. The site was cordoned off, yellow tape fluttering like warning flags in the mountain breeze, as excavators carefully sifted through the earth, unearthing fragments that pieced together a mosaic of tragedy. Bones emerged first, scattered femurs, ribs, and skulls gnawed by wildlife, their identities confirmed via dental records and DNA matches to the missing teens. Emily's remains were found near a cluster of wildflowers, as if nature had laid her to rest in a bed of color. Jake's beside a fallen log, perhaps where he had collapsed in exhaustion. Mia's ankle bone showed signs of the injury she had documented, Tyler's robust frame reduced to skeletal echoes of strength. The forensics team noted no signs of foul play, no bullet wounds, no blunt trauma, but the positioning suggested they had huddled together in their final moments, hands possibly intertwined, a silent testament to their unbreakable bond. Yet the backpack's burial puzzled them. Buried 2 feet deep, it wasn't a casual concealment by animals or erosion, but deliberate, the soil compacted as if pressed down intentionally. Who had done it? The teens themselves, in a last act of hope to preserve their story? Or an outsider who stumbled upon the scene? Klein's team expanded the dig, uncovering more artifacts, a tattered tent flap, rusted energy bar wrappers, and a single hiking boot, Mia's size, its laces frayed from desperate marches. The hand-drawn map in the metal box became the focal point, its lines scrutinized by cartographers who confirmed it depicted a subterranean network, potentially connecting to known caves miles away. Spelunkers were dispatched, crawling through narrow passages slick with moisture, their headlamps piercing darkness untouched for centuries. They found no human remains or signs of passage, but discovered petroglyphs, ancient drawings by Native American tribes, depicting spirals and figures that some interpreted as warnings. Could the teens have encountered the system, drawn the map from fleeting exploration, only to be trapped above ground? The journal provided chronology. Day 1, excitement. Day 2, the storm and wrong turn. Day 3, the cabin and dwindling supplies. Day 4, hallucinations and confessions. Day 5, collapse in the meadow. Emily's entries grew erratic, ink smudged by tears or rain, ending with, "We hear them coming. Shadows in the trees. Help us." What shadows? Wildlife? Rescuers who never arrived? Or paranoia born of delirium? Mia's sketches corroborated, early pages bursting with life, aspens swaying, streams sparkling, evolving into surreal nightmares, elongated figures with hollow eyes, mountains morphing into gaping maws. Psychologists analyzing the art suggested dissociative states induced by starvation, but occult enthusiasts online claimed demonic influences, tying it to legends of skinwalkers in the Rockies. Jake's phone, once revived, yielded a treasure trove, 47 photos, 12 videos, timestamps aligning with the journal. Early clips showed banter. "Hey, world, we're lost but loving it." Jake quipped, progressing to somber logs. Tyler scouting, Mia limping, Emily poring over maps. The last video, shaky and dim, captured whispers. "Something's out there," Tyler hissed, the camera panning to rustling bushes before cutting off. Tyler's watch stopped at 3:17 a.m. on the presumed fifth night, synced with meteorological data showing a severe cold snap, temperatures plummeting to freezing, sealing their fate. The investigation delved deeper, interviewing original search party members, some recalling anomalous reports, strange lights, unexplained footprints that were dismissed as fatigue. Klein pursued leads on the map's origins. Geological surveys revealed the cave system was unstable, prone to collapses, perhaps why the teens couldn't access it. But a whistleblower, an elderly park ranger named Elias Thorne, came forward anonymously, claiming he had seen the teens on day 3, arguing near the cabin, but fearing involvement in a potential runaway scenario, he stayed silent. His story checked out partially. Cabin logs showed recent disturbance, but he denied burying anything. The families, thrust back into the spotlight, navigated a maelstrom of emotions. Clara Carter, Emily's mother, pored over the journal nightly, finding solace in her daughter's words. "Mom, if you read this, know I was thinking of your hugs." She advocated for better trail markings, turning grief into action. Tom Harlan, Jake's father, fixed up his son's old bike, writing trails in memory, the phone's videos his constant companion. Sofia Rodriguez, Mia's sister, exhibited the sketches in a gallery show. Whispers from the wild, proceeds funding search and rescue tech. Coach Dan Brooks established the Tyler Brooks Memorial Hike, an annual event promoting safety. Media frenzy amplified everything. CNN specials dissected the timeline. Fox News speculated conspiracies, government black sites in the mountains, while true crime YouTubers recreated the hike, some claiming eerie experiences. Social media exploded with hashtag Lost in Colorado, users sharing theories, alien abductions, Bigfoot encounters, or a serial killer preying on hikers. Klein debunked most, but one thread persisted, a similar disappearance in 1993 for college students vanishing on the same trail, their belongings found buried years later. Coincidence? Or a pattern? Archival dives revealed parallels, wrong turns, storms, buried artifacts. Was there a curse on Lost Creek? Anthropologists linked it to Ute tribe legends of a devouring spirit in the peaks, punishing intruders. Klein, pragmatic, focused on facts, but even she felt the chill during site visits, as if watched. The excavation yielded more: a necklace, Emily's, inscribed "Forever Friends," and a friendship bracelet woven by Mia. These personal items humanized the tragedy, displayed at press conferences where Klein updated the public. No foul play, but questions remain. Autopsies confirmed exposure, but toxicology showed traces of hallucinogenic berries, explaining visions. The buried box, fingerprinted, bore only the teens' prints, suggesting they hid it themselves, perhaps sensing the end, a time capsule for posterity. As months passed, the case shifted from active to historical, but its impact lingered. Granby erected a monument in the meadow for stones engraved with names, surrounded by wildflowers. Visitors left notes. Rest in peace. You are found. The families found therapy in sharing, forming a support group for others with missing loved ones. Dr. Nguyen, the geologist who found the backpack, wrote a book, Buried Secrets of the Rockies, blending science and story. Conspiracy podcasts persisted, but evidence pointed to tragedy, not malice. Yet, on quiet nights, hikers reported whispers, shadows, echoes of the past. The mountains, eternal guardians, held their verdict. Nature claims what it will, but humanity's stories endure, unearthed from soil to live again. The investigation's closure brought mixed relief. Answers healed some wounds, but the why of the burial gnawed. Perhaps the teens, in lucidity's last grasp, buried their legacy, ensuring their voices echoed beyond silence. Klein retired the case file, but kept a copy of the map, a reminder of unresolved enigmas. The Rockies, with their buried truths, continued to beckon adventurers, a siren call of beauty and peril intertwined. As the dust settled on the official investigation, the story of the vanished teens transcended the boundaries of Granby and the Colorado Rockies, morphing into a cultural phenomenon that captivated the nation and sparked debates on wilderness safety, youth adventure, and the enduring power of unsolved mysteries. Documentaries proliferated on streaming platforms, each vying to offer a fresh angle. Lost in the Wild on Netflix dissected the psychological toll of isolation, featuring interviews with survival experts who simulated the teens' ordeal, enduring days without food to illustrate the descent into hallucination. Buried Secrets on HBO delved into the map's enigmas, consulting cartographers and historians who linked the cave petroglyphs to Ute folklore, tales of underground spirits guarding sacred sites. Podcasters like those behind Crime Junkie and Morbid dedicated multi-episode arcs, analyzing Emily's journal word by word, speculating on the shadows she mentioned. Were they rescuers who failed to spot them, predatory animals, or figments of a starving mind? Social media platforms buzzed with user-generated content. TikTok challenges reenacted the hike with dramatic flair, creators vanishing into forests for views, while Instagram Reels compiled Mia's sketches into animated stories, her art gaining posthumous fame. X, formerly Twitter, Threads went viral, with users crowdsourcing theories. One popular account, @RockyMysteries, amassed millions of followers by connecting the 2018 disappearance to the 1993 case, pointing to similar buried artifacts and suggesting a serial offender who collects hikers' belongings as trophies. Hashtags like #ColoradoCurse and #UnearthTruth trended globally, drawing armchair detectives who pored over satellite imagery of the meadow, claiming to spot anomalies like unnatural soil disturbances or hidden entrances. Conspiracy forums on Reddit, such as r/unsolvedmysteries and r/conspiracy, exploded with posts, some alleging government involvement in classified experiments, citing declassified documents on Cold War-era bunkers in the Rockies. Others posited supernatural elements, sharing eyewitness accounts of ghostly apparitions near Lost Creek. The families navigated this maelstrom with grace and grit, channeling the attention into advocacy. Clara Carter, Emily's mother, testified before Colorado's state legislature, pushing for mandatory GPS beacons on trails and enhanced search protocols, her voice steady as she read from her daughter's journal. We were prepared, but the mountains weren't. The bill, dubbed Emily's Law, passed unanimously, equipping trailheads with emergency devices and funding drone searches. Tom Harlan, Jake's father, started a foundation teaching wilderness survival to teens, hosting workshops where participants learned orienteering, fire building, and the importance of group dynamics, lessons drawn from Jake's phone videos, where his humor masked underlying fears. Sofia Rodriguez, Mia's sister, curated an international art exhibit touring major cities, Echoes in Ink, featuring Mia's sketches alongside works by contemporary artists inspired by her story, proceeds benefiting environmental conservation in the Rockies. Coach Dan Brooks transformed the high school football field into a memorial park, with benches engraved with Tyler's motivational quotes, and organized annual charity games raising funds for missing persons organizations. The media spotlight brought both solace and scrutiny. Paparazzi hounded the families, forcing them to relocate temporarily, while supportive letters poured in from strangers touched by the tale. Authors capitalized on the intrigue, publishing books like The Last Hike by journalist Lena Voss, a meticulous reconstruction blending facts with dramatized scenes, topping bestseller lists, or Shadows of the Summit by paranormal investigator Marcus Hale, who claimed to have captured EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, in the meadow, whispers saying, "Help us," that skeptics dismissed as wind. Hollywood sniffed opportunity, with studios optioning rights for a feature film, casting young stars to portray the teens, Emily as the resilient leader, Jake the Joker, Mia the dreamer, Tyler the protector, though the families insisted on script approval to honor authenticity. True crime conventions featured panels with Detective Klein, who fielded questions on lingering doubts, the deliberate burial, the map's accuracy, the 1993 parallels. Klein, now retired, wrote her memoir, Unearthing the Past, admitting private suspicions of a cover-up, perhaps by Thorne the Ranger or an unknown hiker who witnessed but fled. Academic interest surged. Universities offered courses on the case in criminology and psychology departments, analyzing group decision-making under stress, the role of social media in modern mysteries, Jake's last post garnering retrospective millions of likes, and the ethics of sensationalizing tragedy. Environmentalists used the story to highlight climate change's impact on trails, erratic weather patterns like the 2018 storm becoming more frequent, eroding paths, and increasing risks. The meadow itself became a tourist hotspot. Despite restrictions, guided tours led by rangers recounted the events, pointing to the excavation site, now a subtle depression in the earth, wildflowers blooming vibrantly as if in tribute. Memorials dotted the landscape, a cairn of stones built by visitors, each rock a prayer, a bronze plaque with the teens' photos, inscribed, "They wandered, but were never truly lost." Paranormal tours at night drew thrill-seekers, equipped with EMF meters, reporting cold spots and unexplained sounds, fueling ghost hunting shows. The economic boost to Granby was bittersweet. New hotels, souvenir shops selling Lost Creek, merchandise like replica journals and maps, but locals grumbled about the invasion, the town's quiet charm overshadowed by tragedy tourism. Years ticked by. The 5th anniversary of the discovery in 2028 marked with a documentary reunion, families gathering in the meadow under a clear sky, sharing stories and releasing lanterns that floated like spirits ascending. Clara spoke of healing. The soil gave back what it took, and in that, we found peace. Yet whispers persisted. A 2025 hiker claimed to find a new artifact, a friendship bracelet half buried near the cave entrance, matching Mia's description, reigniting investigations, but yielding nothing. Online communities evolved, with AI-generated recreations simulating alternate endings. What if they found the caves? What if help arrived? These what-ifs comforted some, tormented others. The story's legacy endured in pop culture references, songs like Buried in the Wild by indie band Summit Shadows, lyrics echoing Emily's pleas, video games where players navigated virtual Rockies, solving puzzles based on the map. Educationally, schools incorporated the case into curricula, teaching map reading and emergency preparedness, turning loss into life-saving knowledge. The families, forever changed, found purpose. Clara authoring a book on grief, Tom mentoring at-risk youth, Sophia establishing an art therapy program, Dan coaching with renewed passion. As decades loomed, the teens' memory faded from headlines, but etched into collective consciousness, a reminder of fragility amid grandeur. The Rockies, timeless and indifferent, continued to draw souls seeking adventure, their soil holding untold stories, waiting for the next revelation. In quiet moments, the families visited the meadow, feeling presences, warm breezes as hugs, rustling leaves as laughter, convincing themselves their loved ones watched over, guardians of the wild. The buried find, once a harbinger of sorrow, became a beacon of resilience, proving that even in oblivion, stories rise, unearthing truths that bind us all. In the wake of the cultural tsunami unleashed by the unearthed backpack and its haunting contents, the legacy of Emily, Jake, Mia, and Tyler evolved into a multifaceted tapestry that wove through generations, inspiring change, provoking introspection, and forever altering how society viewed the intersection of youth, nature, and mortality. Decades after the discovery, in the mid-2040s, the story had become enshrined in educational curricula across the United States, a staple in high school literature and history classes where students dissected Emily's journal as a primary source document, analyzing its prose for themes of resilience, friendship, and the human spirit's defiance against overwhelming odds. Teachers assigned projects where teens recreated the hike virtually, using augmented reality apps that simulated the Rockies' terrain, complete with branching paths that mirrored the fateful fork, forcing participants to make decisions that could lead to simulated survival or demise, all while emphasizing the importance of preparation and technology in modern adventuring. Emily's Law, now a federal mandate, had revolutionized outdoor recreation, with mandatory check-ins via satellite-linked apps, drone patrols over high-risk trails, and AI algorithms predicting weather anomalies with pinpoint accuracy, reducing disappearance rates by over 70% in national parks. Clara Carter, now in her 80s, had become a revered figure, her autobiography, A Mother's Search, a bestseller that detailed not just the loss but the global movement it sparked, with chapters devoted to the advocacy work that turned personal pain into public policy. She traveled, albeit virtually in her later years, speaking at conferences on missing persons, her voice frail but fierce, recounting how the buried artifacts, the journal, sketches, phone, watch, and map, served as catalysts for reform, each item a symbol of what was lost and what could be saved. Tom Harlan, Jake's father, had expanded his foundation into an international network of survival schools, where instructors used Jake's videos as teaching tools, his lighthearted commentary underscoring the need for mental fortitude alongside physical skills, with programs in places as far-flung as the Andes and the Alps, adapting the lessons to diverse terrains. Sofia Rodriguez channeled Mia's artistic spirit into a nonprofit that provided art supplies and therapy to children in crisis, her galleries now permanent fixtures in museums worldwide, where Mia's sketches hung beside masters like Van Gogh, her wildflower drawings inspiring environmental campaigns that preserved vast swaths of the Rockies from development. Coach Dan Brooks, before passing in 2035, saw his memorial park become a national landmark, hosting events that blended sports and survival training, with Tyler's story motivating athletes to push boundaries while respecting limits. The film adaptation, released in 2030, won Oscars for its poignant portrayal, with actors immersing themselves in method acting, hiking the actual trail, enduring mock deprivations, to capture the essence of the teen's ordeal, the screenplay weaving in speculative elements like what-ifs around the cave map, suggesting alternate realities where they escaped through underground passages, blending fact with fiction to explore themes of fate versus free will. Critics praised it for humanizing the tragedy, while detractors accused it of exploitation, sparking ethical debates in film schools about the line between tribute and sensationalism. The paranormal angle, though debunked repeatedly, refused to die. Ghost hunting shows in the 2030s used advanced tech like quantum sensors to probe the meadow, claiming anomalies that aligned with Mia's shadowy sketches, leading to a subculture of spirit hikers who ventured to Lost Creek at night, armed with recorders and cameras, sharing footage online that blurred the line between hoax and haunting. Conspiracy theories mutated with time. By the 2040s, with AI deepfakes rampant, videos surfaced purporting to show the teens alive in hidden enclaves, survivors of a government experiment gone wrong, tying back to the 1993 case and alleging a century-long cover-up involving cave systems as secret bases. Detective Klein's memoir, republished with new appendices, addressed these, dismissing most but admitting lingering doubts about the burial's intent, speculating in footnotes that perhaps a fifth person, a hermit or poacher, witnessed the end and buried the backpack as a makeshift grave marker, a theory supported by sporadic sightings reported over the years. The meadow, preserved as a National Historic Site, drew millions annually, its paths augmented with holographic guides narrating the story, visitors pausing at the excavation spot to reflect on plaques that quoted the journal. We were here. We lived. We loved. Environmental changes added layers. Climate shifts altered the Rockies, with warmer temperatures melting permafrost and revealing more artifacts. In 2042, a flash flood unearthed a camera lens believed to be Jake's, containing undeveloped film that, when processed, showed blurry images of the group in the cabin, their faces etched with determination amid despair. This find reignited media interest, documentaries updating the narrative, incorporating climate science to warn of how changing weather patterns exacerbated such tragedies. The family's descendants carried the torch. Emily's granddaughter, named after her, became a park ranger, patrolling Lost Creek with a sense of guardianship, sharing stories with hikers to prevent repeats. Jake's great-nephew developed an app that analyzed trail data in real time, crediting his ancestors' phone logs for inspiration. Mia's lineage pursued art, with a biennial contest awarding scholarships for wilderness-inspired works. Tyler's can coach teams, instilling values of teamwork drawn from his final acts of carrying Mia. Socially, the story influenced youth culture. Buried truths became slang for hidden emotions, teens exchanging friendship tokens modeled after the watch and necklace, vowing eternal bonds. Literature blossomed around it. Novels like Echoes in the Soil imagine the teens' spirits guiding lost souls, while poetry collections captured the mountain's majesty and menace. Music evolved too. Symphonies composed soundscapes, mimicking the storm's thunder and whispers in the wind, performed at anniversary concerts in Granby, now a thriving town balanced between tourism and tranquility. Scientifically, the cave system mapped by spelunkers post-discovery yielded breakthroughs. In 2038, archaeologists found artifacts predating European settlement, petroglyphs matching Mia's symbols, suggesting indigenous knowledge of the underground network, perhaps used for rituals or escapes, adding cultural depth to the teens' map. Had they stumbled upon sacred ground, their drawings an unwitting record of ancient secrets? This led to collaborations with Ute tribes, repatriating findings and incorporating native perspectives into site interpretations, fostering reconciliation and education. Psychologically, studies on the case advanced understanding of group dynamics in crises, with simulations showing how leadership like Emily's could falter under stress, and how confessions in dire moments, as in their huddles, strengthened resolve. The buried box's mystery persisted as a philosophical puzzle, an act of hope, defiance, or farewell. Philosophers debated it in essays, likening it to messages in bottles cast into oceans of time. As the 50th anniversary approached in 2068, a time capsule was buried in the meadow, containing digital archives of the story, messages from descendants, and replicas of the artifacts, to be opened in another half-century, ensuring the legacy endured. Clara, in her final interview before passing, reflected, "The soil took them, but gave back their voices, and in that exchange, we all grew." The Rockies, ever majestic, stood as silent witnesses, their peaks piercing skies that had seen countless stories, but none quite like this, a tale of vanishing and rediscovery, of burial and unearthing, reminding humanity that even in the deepest soil, truths wait to bloom, forging connections across time, turning loss into an eternal echo of life.